Hi, y'all. My name's Noah. I'm from South Mississippi, but currently coming to you by way of New Orleans, Louisiana. I felt like making this channel for a couple reasons. I want to share my hobbies and the cool things that I do in sort of a longer format. I hate Twitter. I'm not on TikTok. I don't have Reddit, Facebook, Letterboxd, Substack, none of that. So hopefully this is a catch-all place so I don't have to have 18 different accounts. Today, we're going to be talking about music, one of my favorite things to talk about in general. Specifically, we're going to be talking about music from my home state, Mississippi. As you might know, the roots of Southern music stretch back farther even than our written records. Native communities in modern-day Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi all had musical traditions which have influenced the later residents of these regions. In a 2024 article for Country Roads magazine, authors Jeffrey Derensberg and John DePriest have dug into the connections and crossovers between indigenous practices and movements like fife and drum and zydeco. And then, of course, early in the written history of the colonies, we have settlers and slaves each bringing their own traditions, cultural heritage, and so forth, on which a lot of Mississippi music is based. Since then, American music has been carried down, replayed, remixed, reimagined in innumerable ways, many of them able to trace their roots back to the South. Like most folks down here, music has been a part of my life since the very beginning. My childhood was full of dad's guitar playing, mom's singing, Sundays spent attending gospel choir services, and generally just being surrounded by very creative and expressive people. As a kid, I took guitar lessons before learning my true love, drums. These instruments and the people I met playing them would lead me to connect with so many interesting and unique parts of life, and they still do. There is rarely a social event I attend that's not featuring music in some kind of way. I couldn't tell you how many concerts, parades, festivals, shows that I've been to over the years, but that number's well into the hundreds, maybe even 1,000. If it's not, we'll get there one day. Why is that relevant? Well, today I want to talk about my favorite albums from Mississippi and Mississippi artists. All this to say, you can disagree with my picks, you can call them bad, you can say that I'm wrong, but you can't say I'm uninformed. Number 5, GB City by Bass Drum of Death. Did you know that the gravity bong was invented in Jackson, Mississippi? Well, that's the rumor that I've heard, at least. And if we can take this album as a source, then buddy, I'm considering it prime evidence. Bass Drum of Death is the project of John Barrett from Oxford, Mississippi. He's been joined over the years by a rotating cast of bandmates that often includes his brother Jim. GB City is the band's first studio album and was released in 2011 on Fat Possum Records. Fat Possum Records is a legendary local record label known for promoting lesser-known acts alongside their stable of archival artists. In my eyes, the label long ago set themselves up to be a major name in the alternative music space. This album came out when I was a senior in high school, and I took to it and never stopped listening. It starts with the track Nerve Jamming, which is a favorite of mine, not only on the album, but of Bass Drum's entire catalog. We've got these thundering drums that are just compressed to shit that launch us into this roaring, dancey track. Every instrument has to fight its way to the surface of this mix. I love that about it. It feels like a little bit of a wall of sound crashing over you. Get Found and Velvet Itch are two more songs that transform sort of the blues rock influence into what I think is a lo-fi classic. On re-listen, I really enjoyed Heart Attack Kid, one that hadn't stood out to me before but does now. Is sort of a look forward into the future sounds and structures that the band would gravitate towards and lean into. I would describe it as like a Waves meets Stooges. Now you might be saying to yourself, what's so special about white boy garage rock band from nowhere? And to that I would respond, no one said they had to be special. The band doesn't have massive chart-topping hits. They've had some of their songs included in video games like GTA 6, not 6, GTA 5. They don't have to be special to be good. In an interview on Fat Possum's website, Barrett says, "My first 2 records were made entirely by me, alone, with my gear, my laptop, and a Snowball USB mic. They were just made quickly cheaply as an excuse to tour. To me, that's so much more endearing than a squeaky clean production value, DIY or die. Album 4, Crit is Here by Big Crit. For those that don't know, Crit stands for King Remembered in Time. This is the moniker of Justin Scott Lewis, one of Mississippi's most prolific rappers and my favorite MC from the Magnolia State. Sorry, Soulja Boy. This album was released in 2019, and it's his second independent release since leaving Def Jam Records. The level of polish and creativity on this album shows such talent and growth from his earlier career. Throughout his career, Crit built a reputation as a renaissance man, a do-it-all kind of guy. He produced, wrote, recorded the vast majority of his own tracks.
Look at the protege working.
But on Crit is Here, the Meridian native only produced a single song, Blue Flame Ballet. He handed off most of the production responsibilities to quite a rogues gallery of producers in the hip-hop world. You've got names like DJ Camper, Don Corleone, Tariq Beats, Khalil. I think the widening of the production responsibilities on the album allowed Crit to focus in on the lyricism and the feel of his raps. Regardless of whose hands were on the ones and twos, the vibes on this album are perfect. I think it encapsulates so many of his best elements. It's jazzy without having to be jazz rap. It is southern to the bone. Everything is authentic. With 19 tracks and nearly an hour of runtime, I find it hard to pick favorites without leaving out songs that I love. The opener, Crit Here, might be a perfect Crit song. The samples are lush and layered without being overwhelming. The flow is, as always, impeccable. The combination of those live drums and the 808s really do it for me.
You said a prayer for me, right?
Learned from Texas is another track that I love. It draws on earlier techniques and influences like UGK, GJ Screw, 3 6 Mafia, while it updates the formula enough to keep it fresh and interesting. But without a doubt, my favorite song is Mississippi. I have loved hip-hop and jazz separately for a long time, and I love the crossover in between them. It still blows me away how seamlessly they were able to stitch these two genres together. Even as similar as they are, a lot of people don't do it right. I could talk way too long about the instrumentation, the production, the lyricism, but honestly, I think this YouTube comment says it best. The way that he breaks down Mississippi as an anagram, to me, is just pure poetry.
I'm from Mississippi. Maybe I'm so southern I sometimes get ignorant people's perception of independence.
It's genius. This album rules. Get with it. Number 3, Dear Bo Jackson by The Weeks. This is another of my favorite indie/garage rock bands from my home state. The Weeks were formed in 2006 by twin brothers Kyle and Kane Barnes, along with fellow friends Sam Williams and Damian Bone.
Damian Kane and myself come from a very small town right outside of Jackson, and no one else really did a lot of music. I definitely feel like being from Mississippi aided in why The Weeks are what we are, I guess.
I think that I have seen this band at least 6 times. A couple of those were definitely by accident. I would just show up to a bar or a party and they'd be playing that night. Dear Bo Jackson is the band's 4th studio album and the 2nd released on Serpents and Snakes Records. This label, founded by Kings of Leon, is, I think, a great fit for the band. It matches their energy, their alternative southern sound, and I think elevates the production value from earlier efforts. During a 2013 interview on adrinkwith.com, the band offers this explanation for why they chose the album's title. It's mostly because of how good he was at football and baseball. People just call him an athlete, but he was also fucking awesome. Just a legend. We don't really want to be labeled as a rock band or a southern rock band. Just a band will do. That's the major connection. So there's 11 songs on the album, and across the tracks, the band manages to pull together quite a wide net of influences and interests into what I think is a very cohesive album. The horns added a lot to the musicianship of the album and the soul of it. It really enhances that rowdy edge of the band without detracting from the raucous energy. There's some great country western influences on Bad Enough and King Size Deathbed. They use pedal steel, piano, and a lot of stylings in the backup vocals to achieve this. Other songs like Thief in My Mouth and Brother in the Night somehow synthesize all these sounds from other contemporary bands like Drive-By Truckers, At the Drive-In, and older influences, Sam Cooke, Elvis. It doesn't sound like a total mess either, which is quite a feat. There's enough layering of tracks to keep re-listens enjoyable and interesting as well, without it being totally overwhelming or overloaded, in my opinion. White Ash and Gobi Blues are two great examples of this that I would point to. Woe Is I is just a great dynamic closer for the album. It feels like an embrace of their influences without sacrificing an ounce of their personal sound. Overall, it's an excellent album from a very talented band. It's definitely one that I've listened to a lot when it first came out, and I still revisit over a decade later. I think they were really onto something here. Hit a home run, scored a touchdown, whatever you want to call it. Number 2, Post American by MS Paint. Released in 2023 on Convulse Records, this is one of the most original albums of the decade. The band doesn't use guitars, and this pushes the sound into a new territory in a genre that's traditionally defined by the heavy use of such an instrument. Purposefully limiting that standard piece of gear is sort of contrasted by the direct and unfiltered themes that the lyrics present. There's not even guitar on Delete It, a collaboration track with Military Gun, another fantastic hardcore band whose music is often pretty riff heavy. The synth and bass lines have this semi-futuristic sound that give the whole project a post-apocalyptic edge that I just love. Each song has some level of exploration or experimentation, all of which I think succeed in adding to an album that is more than the sum of its parts. I've seen the band live a couple of times now, and the energy is just infectious. I found a great interview that the frontman Dee did with The Alternative titled Dee Doesn't Mosh, but if you want to, he's cool with it. I think that's such an apt way to describe the diverse audience that they've cultivated. The interview is a great read overall, and I will link it in the video description below if you want to read it for yourself. These guys are really at the forefront of a larger resurgence of that homegrown and independent sound in music. I love that you can't really put the project into a single box of industrial rock or punk. Whether that's by design or a happy accident, it really goes to show that the future of Southern music is just wide open to all forms of expression. The fact that this is the Hattiesburg Locals' first album also kind of blows my mind. It's such a complete package. If songs like Information, Acid, and Hardwired don't make you move, if they don't make you jump around, then I don't trust you. I would say my favorite track on the album is Titan of Hope. It has this amazing message of hope and perseverance in the face of impossible odds that I totally agree with and find very inspiring. The band's second album, Angel, is also fantastic and carries a lot of my favorite elements from this project without shying away from new sounds and new styles. MS Paint is the best living band from Mississippi. Full stop, end of sentence, don't argue with me. Let's talk real quick about some honorable mentions. First up, R.L. Burnside, A Bothered Mind. R.L. is a goddamn legend, deserves his own video. This was released shortly before his death and brought sort of a wider appeal and recognition to the pioneer of Hill Country Blues. A lot of this 2004 album consists of remasters, remixes of earlier work from his catalog. It's another classic published by Fat Possum Records. Reportedly, Mr. R.L. had not much to do with the album, but his son Cedric Burnside drove a lot of the project from behind the drum kit. This is an album that I could listen to any day of the week. It played all the time in my house growing up as a kid and continues to play in my headphones when I'm working, when I'm working out, even better when I'm done working and I'm drinking a beer. The next honorable mention is Junior Kimbrough, All Night Long. This is another classic Hill Country Blues album. It leans a little bit more authentic than the remixes and reimaginings on the previous one that we talked about. You've got some amazing tracks on here. Nobody But You, All Night Long, I Feel All Right, and of course Meet Me in the City. It's one of my favorite blues songs of all time. A lot of folks were probably first introduced to the music of Mr. Kimbrough through Chulahoma by the Black Keys. They released a cover album, one that could probably be an honorary Mississippi album, but it didn't quite make the list. The next honorable mention is Moody Blue by Elvis Presley. My most boomer take is that Elvis is good. To be clear, I like him not in a he can do no wrong kind of way, but in a what a weird guy with a weird life and a good voice kind of way. Moody Blue was his last album before his death, and we are deep into the punished Elvis era on this. As a complete album, it's totally wonky. It doesn't necessarily flow. It's disjointed. And there are some songs that are mixed poorly, in my opinion. I definitely wouldn't describe it as groundbreaking, but goddamn it if it ain't charming. To me, Elvis's charisma is not at all diminished by this level of constant self-medication and failing health. The track Little Darlin' is a perfect example of this. During the first chorus, Elvis totally flubs his part, but his laughing recovery lends sort of that sense of humanity to this icon. Another favorite on the album is Unchained Melody. That's always been a favorite track of mine. And this live version features some really emotive and technically impressive singing from Presley. Did he steal his whole shtick from black people? Yes, obviously. But did he have good taste? I would say so. I also have this very cool blue transparent vinyl that rocks. So yeah, anyway, that's my favorite Elvis album. Last honorable mention goes to Bobby Gentry, The Delta Suite. Her first album, Ode to Billy Joe, is a total classic. There's such great elements on that I think she refines and takes to another level on this, her second album. Love the opening track, Okolona River Bottom Band. Reunion is a very cool song that incorporates some old school call and response, layering, harmonies, all that cool stuff. And she's just got a charm that is, to me, impossible to ignore. Number 1, Indianola, Mississippi Seeds by B.B. King. B.B. King is such a legendary figure in the blues and in Mississippi, not just music history, but history. I don't know I need to summarize his career. Even if it's just to give context for where this album is, it's pretty hard to do. Is born deep in the Delta in 1925, and a portion of his birth announcement is included on the inside of the album artwork. He was the son of sharecroppers. He's shaped by that agricultural community in which he grew up.
The only superstar I'll ever be was when I was driving tractors. I thought I was good.
The unhurried and bone-deep style of play is just so reminiscent of like a slow burn Southern Gothic novel. He is a staple of the genre now, but that wasn't always the case, especially in his earlier career. The songs are great, the playing is incredible, but I think that the producer Bill Seismic, I hope that's Shimchick. I think producer Bill Shimchick also deserves a lot of credit for the staying power of this era of B.B. King. He was a former sonar operator for the U.S. Navy, and he was already on track to become a legendary producer before he started working with B.B. King. His work in the late 60s, early 70s sort of paved the way for a lot of hi-fi sounds that far exceeded their reach from his personal catalog. After he got sort of established in the industry, he requested to work with B.B. King. They worked on a couple of singles before recording what would become his 1969 album, Completely Well, which included the mega hit, The Thrill Is Gone. Recalling the recording sessions for Sound on Sound magazine in 2004, Bill said, "The energy was there. BB started playing the song riff in the minor key, and Paul Harris picked up on it immediately on the Wurlitzer electric piano. It fell into its groove in minutes. I was freaking out. That's how good it was. Then I had the idea to put strings on it. I called BB, and he hesitated a bit, but I called in a great arranger who wrote this killer hypnotic chart. We put it down. That was his breakthrough record. It was a crossover hit. It became one of his signature tunes in life. He was referred to as an overnight success after 30 years in the business. So the success of Completely Well would lead to the pair continuing their partnership on this record. While a lot of people will say that Completely Well is King's breakout record, his high in the career, I find myself gravitating more towards Indianola, Mississippi Seeds. This was released only a year after that first collaboration in 1970, and it features some of the best session and guest musicians available at the time. You've got Carole King, Joe Walsh, Leon Russell. To me, it's clear that B.B. King was having fun recording this record. There's playfulness present all over the album, from the incredible cover art to the expressive solos and cheeky lyrics. Nobody loves me but my mother, and she could be jiving too. Sweeping strings are brought back and highlight a lot of tracks for me, including Ain't Gonna Worry My Life No More and Hummingbird. I think they elevate those songs into the sublime. They give it a weightlessness and let the tune sort of soar above the rest of the down and dirty brass section. It does a great job of catching the audience's attention and balancing out the heavier blues of King's signature guitar style. In truth, it's really hard for me to choose between those two King albums that I mentioned, but Indianola, Mississippi Seeds is a masterpiece of an album and my personal favorite. It just captures the heart of the blues and elevates it at every opportunity. I think there's no wasted chances. I think it's a perfect album. There's so much creativity and passion and dedication. And there's just something about it, man. One or two of those notes, those guitar bends, and I'm deep in the South. It's iconic. So there you have it, my favorite Mississippi albums. This is by no means a comprehensive list. I had to leave off so many artists and projects that I love. I didn't mention legends like Jimmy Rogers or Robert Johnson. I could talk all day about Elvis. There are also so many cool new bands coming up like Charcoal, Smokies. There's world-renowned acts like Christone Kingfish Ingram and others that have been flying under the radar like Hardy. So that's it. What's your favorite Mississippi album? Who's your favorite Mississippi artist? Did I leave them off? Maybe I'll cover my favorite albums from Louisiana next. I've got plenty of more random ideas about what to do on this channel and what to talk about. Some stuff related to music, some stuff not related at all. As if you've seen the camping video, that had nothing to do with music, but I had fun making it. I had fun making this video as well. If any of that sounds interesting to you, please subscribe. Follow me on Instagram. I guess that's the only other place I post. Go listen to some music. Go support your local artists. Thanks, y'all.